For years, the field of longevity, it's felt a bit like a slow march, hasn't it? Incremental gains, interesting correlations, mostly about just slowing the clock.
Right, tweaking things here and there. But this week, wow, the material we're looking at tells a completely different story.
It really does. We're not just talking about slowing aging anymore. We're talking about actively engineering age reversal. It feels like a fundamental shift.
It's moving from just watching biology happen to actually, engineering it. And what's fascinating is how these different breakthroughs work together.
Okay, so what have we got?
Well, we've got systemic age reversal in primates. That's huge.
Yeah.
We have AI designing these super efficient rejuvenation molecules.
50 times more efficient. We'll get to that.
Exactly. And then there's this radical new theory framing aging itself as correctable information decay, plus the strategy side building trust, finding shortcuts with existing drugs.
Right, because the science is amazing, but it's useless if it just stays in the lab. We have to look at how to get it to people, the whole drug repurposing angle, public trust.
Absolutely. So our mission today really is to break all this down, unpack it, and give you a kind of high-speed shortcut to understanding this revolution that's happening right now in biological engineering.
Okay, let's dive in. We have to start with that monumental proof of concept. The headline alone is just stunning. Scientists reversing biological age across multiple organ systems in monkeys.
And these are our close evolutionary relatives, remember. Think human equivalent of, say, 60s or 70s.
Which is already impressive, but the detail that really jumped out at me.
The safety profile.
Yeah, nearly a year, and 0 adverse effects reported. For something this novel,
Well, that's crucial.
it's a massive validation, a huge safety win right out of the gate.
Okay, but engineering stem cells, infusing them into primates? That sounds potentially risky. Did the sources talk about managing that? How do they make it safe and systemic?
Yeah, that's key. The mechanism was actually quite elegant. The Beijing team used these biweekly infusions of engineered human stem cells. They call them senescent-resistant mesenchymal progenitor cells, or SRCs. SRCs, right. And the resistance comes from.
A tweak to the FOXO3 gene.
FOXO3.
That's the one linked to exceptional human longevity, the master regulator.
Precisely. It's meant to protect and repair the cell, but with age, it tends to get pushed out of the cell nucleus. It stops doing its job, effectively.
So the engineers,
They modified it so it stays locked in the nucleus. Permanently active, always on duty, basically.
like locked in the nucleus, and the results. This is where it goes from just interesting to, frankly, breathtaking.
It really is. We're looking at an estimated 3 to 5 years of biological age reversal, systemically, across more than half the tissues they measured.
3 to 5 years younger, biologically. What specific systems showed the biggest improvements?
It wasn't just skin deep. In the brain, they saw restored cortical thickness, better connectivity in the hippocampus that's vital for memory, cognition,
Okay, brain improvements. What else?
stronger bones, structurally better, and a significant drop in chronic inflammation markers, things like IL-6 and TNF-alpha. That's a big indicator of reduced systemic aging. But the real aha moment for me, the thing that says this is a true reset, not just patching things up, that had to be the reproductive tissue finding.
Absolutely. The ovaries were rejuvenated, reversing their age by over 6 years. 6 years.
Wow.
So when you put it all together, brain, bones, immune system, reproductive tissue, it really confirms that systemic age reversal isn't just theory anymore. It looks achievable.
Okay, so that achievement, turning back the clock in primates, is already huge. But now let's shift gears to the tools making this accelerate so fast. AI designing biology, that OpenAI and Retro Biosciences collaboration.
Right, and to put that in context, a major bottleneck has always been, well, the speed. How fast can we test and improve things? We know about the Yamanaka factors, the cell's factory reset.
The ones that reprogram cells back to a useful state.
Exactly, but doing that efficiently, especially inside a living organism, is really slow and tricky with the standard factors.
So they basically handed the design problem to AI. A specialized version of GPT-4 redesigning 2 key proteins, SOX2 and KLF4, a task that would take humans ages.
Years of trial and error, absolutely. And the outcome here is, well, it's a paradigm shift.
Okay, hit me with it.
The AI designed completely new synthetic protein sequences. And when they tested these in the lab, a 50-fold increase in reprogramming efficiency.
50 times, 50.
50 times more efficient. Staggering.
Okay, 50 times is incredible in a lab dish, but does that automatically translate? I mean, being efficient in a diff versus getting it to work safely and effectively throughout a whole body, those are different challenges, right?
That's a fair point. Delivery is always a challenge. But this 50x leap isn't just about speed in the lab. It suggests the tool itself is fundamentally better. The AI designed something superior to what millions of years of evolution came up with.
That confirms that idea of an industrial revolution in designing molecular machines.
Exactly. It makes the downstream challenge of systemic delivery much more feasible because the core component is just so much more potent. We're literally building better biology.
Building better biology.
Wow. Okay, speaking of fundamental ideas, these tools are powerful, but they're even more powerful when guided by a clear theory of aging. Let's shift to that Yale preprint, reframing aging away from just accumulated damage like a rusty car.
Right. This is aging as information decay. The core idea, grounded in systems biology, is that the components, the cells, the DNA, are mostly okay. It's the coordination that fails.
The orchestra analogy you mentioned earlier, instruments are fine, but the conductors lost the plot.
Precisely. Aging is seen as the instruction set getting garbled. The communication between genes and the factors that turn them on and off, that loses fidelity over time.
Okay, I like that. Information decay.
Yeah.
So if the conductor, the communication is the problem, is it easier to fix the conductor or maybe reinforce the sheet music?
Well, the data points towards the conductor.
Right.
They showed mathematically that this information transfer consistently drops with age. They looked at single-cell data across 10 different tissues.
Okay, so it's a measurable decline in coordination. Yes. And importantly, their computer models suggest that reactivating just a small, specific set of master regulator genes, the key conductors, could actually restore that coordination.
So who are these molecular conductors? Which specific ones do we need to target to fix the garbled instructions?
Well, research from University of Porto mapped out a really specific pathway. It seems the decline of one transcription factor, FOXM1, triggers a whole cascade of problems.
FOXM1 goes down, and then?
You get reduced DNA repair, you get the breakdown of another key enzyme called G9A, and crucially, the collapse of what they call the epigenetic wall.
The epigenetic wall.
That's
Well,
right.
that's like the cell's firewall, right? Keeping the bad, age-promoting genes silenced.
Exactly. When that wall crumbles, all sorts of inflammatory and dysfunctional genes get activated. The garbage instructions spill out.
Okay, so we have FOXM1, G9A, the epigenetic wall. How does that lead to a smarter strategy?
Well, directly boosting FOXM1 is tricky. It's a master switch, and messing with it has links to cancer proliferation, too risky. But we can target the downstream players more safely. Specifically, targeting G9A could help rebuild or reinforce that epigenetical wall directly. It's a more precise, potentially safer intervention point than trying to supercharge the main conductor.
Okay, that makes sense. Target the supporting player, G9A, to fix the wall. All right, this is fantastic. We have the theory, the specific molecular targets like G9A. How do we connect this deep science back to, real-world health span and things people might actually access?
Great question. We can start with the gut, surprisingly. A study from the Chinese Academy of Sciences highlights how the gut can act almost like a natural drug delivery system. There's a direct link found between specific gut bacteria and our genome's function.
Okay, gut bacteria influencing our genes. How?
Specifically, a metabolite called indole-3 acetic acid, or IAA. It's produced by a very common gut bacterium, Lactobacillus salivarius. And this IAA seems to mitigate intestinal aging.
Wow. And how does it do that? Just generally good for the gut?
No, it's more direct. The study showed IAA actually travels from the gut, gets into cells, and directly interacts with and boosts the activity of PRP1.
PRP1, that's a major player in DNA repair.
It's absolutely critical.
Yeah.
So you have a common gut bug producing a substance that directly enhances one of our core DNA repair enzymes. It's not just correlation, it's a functional link mediated by our microbiome.
That implies we could potentially use targeted probiotics or maybe postbiotics containing IAA, almost like a prescribed supplement to boost our own DNA repair.
That's the potential, yes.
Yeah.
A natural delivery system for reinforcing cellular maintenance.
Which ties directly into the whole focus on health span, not just lifespan, making sure those extra years are good years.
Exactly. Quality of life is key. And that brings in other factors, like referencing discussions from the Peter Attia MD podcast, the point about women's sexual health being a really important indicator and actually a contributor to overall health span. It's directly linked to things like better sleep, cardiovascular function, emotional well-being. It's part of the bigger picture these cellular fixes need to translate into robust daily health and vitality.
Okay, so we have the science, the potential interventions, but finally, we have to face the strategic hurdles. This amazing science means nothing if it doesn't actually reach people. Economics, social acceptance, these are huge barriers.
Definitely. And that's where pragmatic approaches like drug repurposing come in. The standout example is Dr. David Feigenbaum.
The physician who basically cured his own terminal Castleman's disease.
Yes, using sirolimus, which is a generic kidney transplant drug, found completely by accident initially.
His story highlights a massive problem, right? Thousands of FDA-approved generic drugs are out there, potentially with amazing hidden benefits for aging or other diseases.
But there's almost zero financial incentive for companies to run trials on cheap off-patent drugs. It's a market failure.
It seems crazy we rely on nonprofits to fill such a huge gap.
It is, and that's why his nonprofit, Every Cure, is so important. They're using AI systematically scanning databases of known drugs against known diseases to find these hidden connections. It's a way to accelerate finding new therapies, often very low-cost ones, for aging-related conditions.
A crucial shortcut. Okay, that's the economic side. What about the social, the public trust side?
Equally critical. This is where the new Public Longevity Group, PLG, enters the picture,
What's their focus?
purely tackling the social and cultural landscape. They recognize the science is moving incredibly fast, maybe faster than public understanding or acceptance.
And there is skepticism out there.
A lot of it. Their research shows the majority of the public is skeptical, often citing valid concerns about inequality, who gets access, or overpopulation fears.
So the PLG is trying to bridge that gap.
Exactly. They're using data science to understand public sentiment, map the concerns, and test communication strategies. The goal is to build the cultural support, the social foundation, that's needed for this research to get funding and eventually regulatory approval. They're building the bridge for the science to cross over.
Okay, so let's tie this all together for you listening. We've seen this powerful convergence today. We have a new theoretical framework, aging as information decay. That gives us the why.
Then we have the targeted fixes, like focusing on G9A to rebuild that epigenetic wall. That gives us the what to target.
We have these incredible new tools, AI designing proteins 50 times better, those gene-enhanced SRCs reversing age in primates. That's the how.
And we have the practical support structures emerging, things like gut health interventions, repurposed drugs, finding new life through efforts like Every Cure, and groups like the PLG working on public trust. That provides the bridge to actually getting these things used.
It really feels like we're shifting gears, moving from just observing aging to actively engineering rejuvenation.
The path forward seems clearer, technically. The biggest hurdles now, as we said, feel more strategic, social, cultural. It's less about if we can do it and more about how we manage it responsibly and when it becomes accessible.
It's a collective effort needed now.
Absolutely. And maybe the most profound point, the one that really pushes us into new territory to think about, is that AI achievement. Designing biological machinery 50 times more efficient than millions of years of evolution produced.
That acceleration is unprecedented.
It truly is. So the big question to leave you with is, what fundamental changes, philosophically or in terms of regulation, do we need to even start thinking about to safely govern tools that can evolve biology itself at this kind of exponential pace?
That's definitely something to mull over. A perfect thought to end on as you continue your own deep dive. Until next time.